Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we have this problem. We talk about counter 2. It's a second problem of counter. It's a JavaScript problem. Today is our third or fourth video of our series JavaScript fundamentals. Today we have this problem that said write a function called create counter, this one. It should accept an initial integer in it, this one. It should return an object with three functions. The three functions are increment, decrement, and reset. The increment increase the current value by 1 and then returns it. The decrement reduce the current value by 1 and then returns it. The reset sets the current value to init and then returns it. We have example. If we have init 5, so we should return 5, 6, 5, and 4. The first one we incremented, the second one we reset the value, the last one we take one from it in the decrement. So before starting in this problem talks about two important things. First of all, we talk about object and closures, and the last thing that we talk about prototype chains. Okay, so let's just talk about the object first. So in this question it's a great introduction to objects and closures and how they work, and it's recommended to watch my first video that called counter, because I focused too much on the closure, and this video I will focus too much on the object. So we have something, the objects in JavaScript objects. So before starting to find the solution, I just want to take a small introduction to talk about how objects in JavaScript works and what are they actually. So at the core, the objects are just mappings. You can just say mappings from strings to other values. The values can be, like, for example, let's have obj, and it just is a map from string to other values. So the value could be a string, it could be a number, it could be another object, it could be an array, it could be a function. Okay, and let's just take another. Let's just put an example because I will work on this one. I have num equals 1, and let's say that we have str equals hello, and I have obj, this equals also object, and in this object we have x that equals 4, and so on and so forth. So let's talk about how we can access keys in object. The first thing that we can say that we can access the keys in the dot notation. So obj dot num, we can access it like that. And if I just make const value equals obj dot num, and I console dot log this val, I should get 1. I expect to get 1. Okay, so we have something called a bracket notation, and this one we used when it's maybe we used if the key just a string, or maybe it's a key, it's something that that when the key isn't a valid variable name. For example, if we have dot num, it's not a valid variable name. So how can we do it? We just do it like that, dot num. So this we call a bracket notation. We have something called destructuring syntax, and this one, if we want to access multiple value in the same time. So just const for example, str an object from object, for example. This is the way. So there is the three ways that we can access an object. So right now we know what is an object, and we said that it just a map with strings and values, and the values could be strings or numbers or object or arrays or functions, and we talked about how we can access them. Right now we talk about the classes and the prototypes and how the prototype chaining works. So let's say that let's say that we have a class called person, and this one has a constructor called name, and this one take two arguments, name and age, and this dot name equals name, and this dot age equals age, and we have let's say that we create a method called greet, and this one it console.log my name is, and we put this dot name, and I will let's put it like that. So we have this class, and let's just create const. Let's create an instance from this class. So I have Alice equals new person, and it will be have Alice, and the age will be 27. So in this one, if you can see here, JavaScript implements classing with the special objects called prototypes, and the prototypes, like all the methods in this case called greet, are functions stored on the objects that called prototype, and the way that how prototype chaining, you could wonder, how can we access, actually, like if I said Alice dot greet, you find that we will console log. So if you want to know how can actually we access this one, how this works, it's something called the prototype chaining. So in JavaScript, the prototype chain is a mechanism that allows objects to inherit properties and methods from other objects. It forms the basis of JavaScript, the prototype inheritance model. So every object in JavaScript has an internal property called prototype, often referred to dunder prototype, that reference another object or null. So for this example, I'm saying alice.create. So basically, I'm referencing the person class, and I'm referencing this one. And when you access a property or method that is not in the object and it's not found directly on that specific object, for example, Alice, JavaScript automatically looks up to the prototype chain to find the property or methods in the prototype object. So we said alice.greet, but there is no greet in this one. So JavaScript will look at the prototype chain that refers to person. So we look at the prototype chain refers to person, and we shot something called greet. So from there we could get. So let's just take I will give you a step by step, because this is one of the most important concepts of JavaScript. Each object, so let's just take it step by step. First, each object has an internal prototype property, okay, and property that references it's a prototype object. When you access a property or method on an object, JavaScript first checks if the property exists directly on the object. If found, it return it, okay. If a property is not found on the object, JavaScript, this is first. The second, if the property is not found, like for this example, JavaScript tried to reach create, but it didn't find it in this object. So if the property is not found in this object, JavaScript looks at the object's prototype, and the object prototype refers to the person, okay, and checks if the property exists there. If found, it return it return it. If the property is still not found, JavaScript continues traversing the prototype chain, checking the prototype, like it will check the prototypes of the prototype, okay, and so on until it reach null, until the property is found, or until the end of the prototype chain is reached, when is it null. Third, if the property is not found anymore in the prototype chain, its undefined is returned. This process continuously until the prototype is found or the end of the prototype chain is reached. So this is how the prototype chain works, and this is why it is quite important. It's one of the most important things. So I guess we should be done from all of this talking, and let's just start directly to work on it. So we will work with this one using closures. So, and the closures is, as we said before, is a combination between two lexical environments wherein the inner function have the access to the outer function's environment. So let's create a variable, call it current count, and this one will equals init, okay. And let's return, because we want to return an object, and this object should have one called increment, and it's a function, okay. And this function will have, first of all, we increase count by 1, count plus plus, and we return count. Okay, I want to make it easier for us. So count will equals +1, and I will return, oh, sorry for that, I will return current count. And this is for the increment. Let's just do the decrement, the reset. So the reset. So if you can see that we can access this the variable from the closure, because that we can access it. So the reset, it will be the current it will be current count will equals init, and we return it. And the decrement, which will be the lost, current count will equals oh, sorry, current count will equals -1 plus minus equals 1, and we return it, and that's it. Sorry for that. Okay. Oh, it doesn't beat anyone at all. What are they doing? Oh, it is the same actually, but they are just doing it in more fancy way. Oh, this one, it's written in more fancy way. I like this one. Okay. So that's it for this video. In today's video, we talked about the objects, and we talked about the prototype chain, and we use a closure to fix our problem. So if you like my content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. And if you have any comment about maybe the voice quality, maybe about my solution, maybe I said something's wrong or something like that, just feel free to give me a comment, because this helps me a lot to improve my content over and over. So that's it for this video, and see you in future problems.